Hopefully I can zoom in tight enough so you don't see my messy garage. But anyway, wife says, hey, I think the rainbow needs to be cleaned. I said, okay, you know. Didn't think anything of it. Got the roller out here. And you know, there was a few hairs here. And I just get my blade and I get the point underneath there, and I cut it up and off so I don't have to unwind big huge long hairs. And also I didn't want to cut into the wood, so you know, I just kind of pried it up and cut it and took it off, and a little bit of fuzz here, a little bit of fuzz here. Nothing really. The brushes are in great shape. You can actually buy this part along with the drive belt, which I thought I had an extra one, but I'm not 100% sure. Well, anyway, I went on to clean it, and I'll show you I'll show you how I took it apart on reassembly. I'll show you all the tricks, the trade as it were. But anyway, so this thing is packed. What do we got? 90, 2000, 2010, 2020. So this is about 30 years old. I would say we bought it in the mid to late 90s or so. I don't know if there's a manufacturing date on here anywhere, but that doesn't matter. And I priced them, they're like $450, and then there's also shipping and handling and tax and all that other stuff. Might as well call it 500 bucks. So, you know, I was just gonna like buy a head and replace it, but not for 500 bucks. So I took it apart, discovered my workload, or as my boss would say, it's a challenging job. Anyway, so now I'm going to need a vacuum cleaner to vacuum that out. So I have my shop vac, and I'm going to go in here with my shop vac and vacuum it out. Alright, much better. I got my vacuum cleaner to clean my vacuum cleaner. So I took my shop vac and just went around, cleaned it up. I have the bumper. I'm going to have to clean the bumper. That's a wash and rinse. The cover plate, I'll wash that too. And actually I'm going to clean this some more too, but because I'm going to use water around electrical motor and clean that up and everything, I'm not going to show that on the video. I'm going to say if I was just a regular Joe, hey, that's good enough, right? Clean this up, the top cover. We'll get all these parts cleaned up, and I'll show you disassembly in the reassembly phase. Alright, so even after I washed it, I found a little tough spot here. Some stuff that was really stuck in there. I saw it on this side. I actually didn't realize there was flaps here, so I need to dig that out. Alright, I'm going to have to put the old belt on. I ordered some more. It's like 3 for 10 bucks on Amazon. Actual Rainbow brand. Because I looked on the bottom here, and apparently this was already the spare that came with it. So when I get my, what is it, stretched, it doesn't even fit in there. So when I get my new ones, I'll put one of the spares in there. Yeah, I asked the wife, you know, mid-90s we got this thing, maybe 1995. Now, really don't think I'm going to show this. I mean, you can blow it off if you have maybe one of those cans to clean your keyboard with or something like that. I mean, I don't think homeowners are going to go what I'm going to go through, but there are 4 screws, 2 here and 2 here. That's going to take this cover off. I can remove the handle, and then I'll start getting into, I'll take this cover off the motor. I'm going to examine it, clean it up, lubricate it, see if it's a bearing or a bushing, see if it has brushes, see how the brushes are doing, you know, stuff like that that normal homeowner would never even consider doing. Oops, forgot that one on both sides, so let me grab that one too. Okay, with those 6 screws out, it's going to come apart like this. My goal was to get this off of here. So anyway, I might be able to clean this up a little bit. Let me disconnect the electricals. You know, you can take pictures as you take things apart to help you reassemble. Well, as soon as I disconnected the electricals, it came apart. So I have this off. Very easy, white to white, black to black. When you look over here at the plugs, you can see white here. Black is a little bit hidden by that wire tie, but the black cords are over here. So it's a no-brainer. You're not going to have to deal with anything confusing there. These bearings, for lack of a better word, fell out, but that's pretty easy to figure out. See, they go right here like that. And so the challenge is just to get it plugged in all together at the same time. That's going to be the reassembly challenge. Looks like it'll just slip into place though, because don't forget, everything is manufactured for assembly, not disassembly. That's why all these things click into place, and you really have to struggle to take it apart. Alright, well, after all these years, it does come off. There's a little clip right here. This end goes on. See that? I didn't even know that existed. So you can remove it. Here I was fighting the whole shaft and everything and hose, and I didn't need to. Didn't even see that thing. So it's on the back where the wire goes. Just depress it and you can take the head off of there. That's good. That'll make life a little bit easier for me. Alright, there's the motor. Plenty of stuff to clean. Alright, well, there are the brushes. So they are fine. My gosh. The travel distance is still way over half. So I assume the other side's okay too. Like I said, I'm going to do what most people don't do. So I'll take it apart, clean this up, the contact area. I'll get some, you know, like Scotch-Brite or something, and just shine that up a little bit. Make a good electrical contact area. I'll take these 3 screws out, pop this off, check. I know the bearing's fine. I can feel it. It's fine. But I'm still going to clean it up. Alright, 1/4 inch for these guys. Okay, so the motor is free. If I want to remove it completely, it's wire tied. And even if I cut the wire ties, both black wires are going to a controller, some sort of regulator controller. You can mark this one red if you want. You can get your red Sharpie here. So you know where the red one goes, since it's only red and blue and they're both black. You know, you can take a picture, all that good stuff. or you can get a blue Sharpie. Alright, you don't need to disconnect the wires. When I was trying to pull the blue one, it just popped right out. So it's just hooked in the side here. And I'll just snap it back into place when I'm done with it. Alright, your indicator light, you just push it up and it comes right out. So now I can clean the plastic and then review the motor. Alright, looks like I'm going to have to go to the gloves. When I worked in industry, what we would do in order to dress out in protective clothing, we would put on cotton gloves. That made the nitrile gloves go on smooth and easy. Also, when your hands get all sweaty, you can take the gloves on and put new ones on real easy, even if the cotton gloves are soaking wet. If your hands are wet, you're going to be fighting these gloves like crazy to get them on, as opposed to having them slide on nice and easy like that. Alright, let's see what kind of nightmare I'm getting myself into. Alright, brushes are super easy. You just pull this tab out and they'll fly right out. With spring will pop right out there. Then there's 2 screws on the front. I don't see the brake point, but I guess that'll allow the motor to come in and out. We'll see how that works. Alright, still my 1/4 inch. And I'll pull these pins. Alright, I got it. It took a little working, I guess, you know. Hadn't moved in a couple of decades, so just put my finger over the spring. Remove that. Out comes the brush. Whoop, spring separate from the brush. Oh, the brush is attached to the wire here. That's what's going on. Probably won't even come out. That's fine. Alright, on the front side we got a pressed plate holding a seal bearing, looks like. Looks like it to me anyway. So, very good. Gosh, the volume of dust that came out when I blew it out with my air, just huge clouds of black dust come flying out of there. Yeah, I'd say there's a little bit of a difference there. Alright, I just had my rotary set on 2. That's the invisible 2. I didn't zap it up to 10,000 RPM. And there are my results. Alright, let's prep for reassembly here. Here we go. Clean area. Okay, there we go. I'm going to let everything dry. And I'm not going to worry about time. Alright, so there are a couple of places where I have this foam cushioning here. You know, it's pretty old and dry rotted. See how this one's pretty much gone away. So I need to see if I can come up with something to replace that with. I mean, I do have double-sided tape, but I do have foam too. So let me see what I can find. Okay, I did notice a detail when I was drying everything off here, or otherwise cleaning and wiping. There's this metal clip on here. I didn't see that originally. Notice how these tabs are oriented. So it's very important that the front, the small end, goes towards those clips, because what that does is it holds the handle up. So you want to make sure you orient that correctly, because really what you're going to be doing is you're actually going to be putting it in this assembly here. You got to put those little steel bushings in there. So you need to make sure it's this way and not that way. So there is a forward and a backwards. Alright, I got my double-sided tape on there. I'm going to pull the top off and put the foam on. Getting it started is a tough part. There's a smooth side. I'm going to put that on the tape. That should be fine to hold it in place. Alright, I did put a little spritz of some white lithium grease on here, and then after I reassemble it, I'll wipe the excess off. So we just have the 2 screws going in. So we'll just move the wires out of the way and slide this thing together. Hopefully on camera. That's it. Okay, make sure everything's aligned correctly, because the first time I tightened it down, this would not turn, so I loosened it up. And I was going to say something like, you know, don't tighten these screws down too far, it'll lock up, but what I did is I've actually tightened it down as much as I can, and it turns freely. So you need to make sure your alignment is correct. Alright, now I'll clean everything up, and I'll put the spring and the spring holder back in place for the brushes. Remember that it curved in towards the inside, so towards the spring. Alright, let's get this spring in here. I'm going to hold it down with my pick. Hopefully. If I can even stay on camera. And then this retainer sleeve is going to go on right here. So let me coordinate that. Make sure the bottom is in. Alright, we'll set the motor in place. Put in our 3 screws. Alright, put the motor in place. Put in our 3 screws. Just finger tight on these, but my point is if you strip it out, you can fill it up with a glue gun and then like drill a pilot hole or take your pick while it's still moist. Oh, my pick over here. While it's still kind of drying, and plunge a pilot hole in there. That's how I fix stripped out plastic holes for metal screws. Alright, we'll get the reset button in place, and you remember the blue was on the inside there. So we'll just line everything up. You can see how it clicks into place. We'll just line it up and pop it in place. Make sure it's in there nice and secure. Make sure you put it in off camera so no one else can see what you're doing. Alright, so the motor plate is going to go on the cord plate. They're going to sit on top of each other like this. However, I've got to prep this first. I've got to put this in place. Remember about the slots here. The narrow end has to go forward with the orientation of this being forward. So I'll put my two pieces on here like this. Or do they? No, they don't. They don't fit over like this. It goes on like this. And I'll make triple sure that my orientation is correct and set this in place. Alright, that was a bit more delicate than I liked. I mean, you know, it's like barely touching in there. It was fun getting them both oriented correctly. Now I think I'm going to have to be careful to lock this in place, make sure it doesn't move. Yep, just went right on there. Now I'll do my 6 screws. Alright, I started them all first. Just finish them up. Now, typically I clean the end of the brushes, but since I can't, without some major figuring out, unplugging, potentially breaking the wire and all that other good stuff, I'm just gonna put some steel wool here and run the shaft a little bit, and as some of the debris comes off of the brushes, goes on to the rotor, it cleans it back up again. Because the first couple times I spun it around, it became black again. So just clean that up. Alright, we'll do the electricals. You can see how they go. Put the flat spot on the flat spot. Black to black, white to white. Make sure they are in there. Then we will put the wires back like we found them. They were all tucked in here, if you remember. The light, we'll stick the light in here. I think I can just pop it right in. Let me work on that. Yeah, so let me show you what I did. The wires were in the way, so I basically started it from the bottom, just work the wires in there, and it just goes right in. And then there's these little tabs on the side, so you can just lock it in place. Alright, moving parts check. Make sure everything's nice and smooth. Make sure your wiring's the way you like it. I'm mechanical, so I'm kind of anal about my wiring. Everything has to be just so. Has to look pretty. Alright, next is the top cover. Yeah, I'm going to put the top cover on. There are 2 screws here. We're going to have to flip it over and screw these in. However, you can see that on the front here, it's going to click in place as opposed to, you know, being screwed in place. Still see some dirt on the top of there. And you want your hose connection down. If you have it up, it'll interfere with the latch here, so you don't want to have to deal with that. You want to make sure it works correctly, but you don't want to deal with it on assembly. Okay, we're getting near the finish line, and we want to put our bumper back on. It's kind of pre-molded, so it'll just fit right on there. Alright, if you want to know what power nozzle you have, it's on the side here. This is a PN2. I think there are like 6 different ones. So we'll just set this in place. 2 screws located somewhere around in here on the bottom side. Now you heard it click. Put our 2 screws in. Magnetic tip comes in handy. Okay, now the fun part. Put your belt on the roller and put the belt on the motor shaft, and then just kind of roll it up forward here into the locking tabs on either side here, and it should self-center. I mean, you can help it a little bit. There we go. Not too bad. Alright, we'll just close the access panel. These have little locking tabs here, so we'll just make sure we're all hooked in and lock it down. Oh gee, I should clean it. Just kidding. There we go. Alright. Check our locking mechanism here. Should lock up right. Alright, we'll put this back on. Give it the old clickety-doo-dah. Route our cord through here. Alright, we're almost ready for the test. Plug this guy in here. See if it makes noise. Alright. Okay, now I can tell the wife to get to work. And I'll let you know how the divorce goes after I tell her that. Alright, well that's my video. Thank you for watching.